Good morning. I'm Mary Winters, gerontologist, and you are watching Visionary Aging. We have a great show for you today. We have Tony Caracosa. There's one thing that everybody will do in their life, and so we need to pre-plan that. And Tony is with Forest Lawn. He's going to answer some questions that you might have. And we have Stephen McCullough on with a really great caregiver questions about a friend mob just taking care of someone who is all arguing. So let's figure out how we're going to solve that problem. We'll have Melinda on, and we have a birthday. We have a birthday today in, let's see what area is that. It is going to be, oh, it'll be a surprise. I'll let you know later. So in any event, let me go ahead and we'll ask Steve to come on and answer his caregiver question, or ask his caregiver question. Morning, Steve.
Morning,
how are you?
I'm great. How are you? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. I know. Great. So what kind of a question did we get? I heard a little bit about it. Sounds like a little big argument there going on.
This could be messy, yes. So a caregiver question comes from a viewer. They start off with the phrase "too many cooks in the kitchen," which is never a good thing, right? She mentions that everybody has an opinion about her friend's care. Her friend's a single female without children, and she has some well-meaning friends, but everybody has a different opinion on how to take care of her. The lady is starting to show signs of dementia, and the viewer wants to know how they can handle this.
So all well-intended, I'm sure, and sometimes we get little bossies around, and sometimes people really know what they're doing, and sometimes people don't. And so sometimes just getting a neutral party in there, honestly, getting a care manager in there is a great thing, because you can get a neutral party in there to look at what needs to happen, what the urgent things need to take place, what thing can be put on the back burner, and then they can be prioritized. You can look at kind of that team, let's just call her Team Sue, and see who can be involved in what are everybody's strengths as far as what they could or should be doing, what kind of time do they have available, but more importantly, what are the holes in her care and the support she might need. And does somebody have something as simple as a power of attorney or a healthcare directive? Are those things in place? Do we need to do some planning immediately for Sue to see if we can make sure that she's supported with those documents and people have control with good intentions to support her in those areas? So those are some good starters. We see that actually quite a bit. Somebody may be very well intended, but really doesn't have the background to do certain things. And so some very vital things can be missing, or communication can be poor or intentionally poor. Sometimes we also see someone who might be a little nefarious and is trying to take over for, financial gain too. So those things should be really considered, but hopefully this person who I called Sue is in a good space with good friends who are just trying to figure it out. And actually, that's a really good reason for our guest today to be speaking more about maybe some of this pre-planning also, because especially when you're a single person, what plans do you have? Who is going to figure out your plans? Who is going to see what you want for your end of life, your burial purposes, and so forth? Very important things all the way through the very end of our life.
So you mentioned, I have a follow-up question then. You mentioned getting a neutral in, which I think is a fabulous idea. How do you go about finding a neutral?
Oh, so, well, you could call our office at 626-359-0108 and ask for a care plan. We do this all the time. If you're outside of the Los Angeles County area, You can still give us a call. That's 626-359-0108, and we can direct you to another care management group in another area. We'd be happy to do that. But I think it's really important to get somebody who really knows how to form that plan and prioritize the things that are most urgent to not as important, but really satisfying the goals and the interests and the well-being and the wishes of that individual. So those things are carried out.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I think we're going to go ahead and we'll have Tony on and talk a little bit more about pre-planning.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Sounds
All right.
good.
Have a great show.
Thanks.
See you at the end.
Thanks. Yes, we're going to have Tony Cardoza on, and let's see, we'll go ahead. He is from Forest Lawn, has all kinds of great information for us. Welcome, Tony. How are you today? Oh, I have him muted still, so I'll unmute you. There you go. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you, Mary.
Great. So, we think of pre-planning for funeral and so forth is kind of daunting, but at the same time, it's really essential. So tell me a little bit about some of the families that come in and see you and how you help them.
Right. Well, I really believe what we do is one of the best benefits a person can do for themselves or but mostly for their family members. We all know, we want to live a great life, but nobody gets out of it alive. And it's unfortunately kind of expensive to die still. And there's a lot of things that need to be addressed that can be done ahead of time. And there are so many benefits for a person to do their final arrangement pre-planning. And my goal with Forest Lawn, I work in the pre-planning division. So I only meet with families to help advise them on what the benefits are of pre-planning, how they can avoid a lot of burden on the family members that are left behind, and help address a lot of concerns and questions that most people are afraid to talk about. So unfortunately, that can lead to a whole lot of problems after somebody passes away.
Exactly.
And I can explain more about that, but
sure. Well, it's no different than our caregiver question too, where everybody's intending to do the right thing and the person's alive. And so
right.
I can only imagine how challenging those things become when it's much more highly emotionally charged after somebody passes.
True. Yeah. So what I do in the advanced planning department is meet with families ahead of time, one-on-one, and I go over all of the benefits. Some of the main ones are taking care of these things ahead of time, which would be picking cemetery spaces to be laid to rest, whether it be traditional ground property for regular burial, or niche property for cremation.
Oh.
And that's probably the biggest and most important question for somebody to be asked or decide on, is which way they want to go. Because we come across so many families that didn't pre-plan, and they come in and meet with the funeral director after somebody passes, and the family gets into arguments because they have different ideas of what they think mom or dad or whoever
exactly.
would have wanted. So we see a lot of fights actually between family members at a time that everybody should be getting along and supporting each other rather than arguing and
Tony,
worrying about these questions.
Yeah, I just have to ask, nobody's ever gotten physical in your office, have they?
I probably shouldn't. Not in front of me, but I have heard some pretty horrible stories. Some pretty bad arguments.
Sure, yeah. That's too bad. But so really the idea is to pre-plan so that you have an idea. Actually, just really quick, I didn't intend to do this, but I have a planning tool. I call it GIFT, and when it's an acronym for planning. So G is gather information. So gather the information of the location you might want to go for your burial. inform the professionals, meaning reach out to you, reach out to your family or other people who are decision makers with you to say, this is my plan, follow through on it. So you would contract with you or whatever arrangements you would need to make. And then you need to tell the people what your plans are. So that way you have a gift for yourself and you've left a gift for the family members that you've left behind. And it just makes it so much simpler, right?
Yes, absolutely. That's a great way to remember it. And it truly is a gift. I have a family, and it's fun. We have family members that do this plan, and actually they give it as a gift to their
Oh,
family
yeah.
members, to their children. I've had people do it. They give it to they joke, half joke that that's their Christmas gift for the year. Is they're giving them the gift of their pre-plan, so they don't have to worry about it later on. Because yeah, like you said, gathering that information when a person passes away and the family members have to come into the mortuary to take care of things, there's anywhere between 75 and 125 different little tasks and decisions that need to be made. So you can understand it gets very overwhelming for some people. And during a difficult time of losing a loved one, a lot of that information is hard to recall. It's hard to get, and it's time is of the essence because a lot of things have to happen immediately to get that person laid to rest, have a service, get the death certificates, everything that needs to be done. So we try to take all of those questions and we store them for the families. So we get all of the information needed ahead of time. We store that information. We can set up the entire service arrangements for what they would want after their passing. And this not only has those questions answered, but it locks it in so that it can't be changed by somebody later on who decides they want to do something else for their own reasons. And then one of the other great benefits of pre-planning is it locks in whatever the costs are today, and you can make payments on those rather than when somebody passes away, you've got to take care of all of those financial
Sure.
costs in one shot, with a big check or credit card payment. And a lot of families just can't afford everything they want at the time, and then they have to downgrade the service, or sadly in some cases they have to do cremation instead of a regular burial because they weren't prepared for the cost and they didn't have any property purchased ahead of time. Because it's interesting, we always share an article that Time Magazine did back in the 70s.
Mhm.
And they studied the average costs of funeral services throughout the country, and realized that those prices, just through normal inflation increases every year, tend to double every 10 years. So you can imagine, even though it seems like a lot of money today, which I'd say the average funeral service and costs for a mortuary is about $12,000,
Is it really?
was half that 10 years ago.
Mhm.
And, it's going to be close to $30,000 in another 10, 15 years just by simple inflation. It's nothing we can prevent, but it's just a part of the economy.
Yeah, and it's
So,
kind of
yeah,
interesting.
so when they plan, they can lock that in now,
Okay.
pay what it costs now, and then have it all provided at the time of death, no matter when it is. If it's 20, 30 years from now,
Sure.
the family can come in and the plan will be there in place at Forest Lawn, and they won't have to pay any extra money, even if the service would cost $40,000 at the time.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, and I understand too, with Medi-Cal as well. It's one feature that they will allow you to spend money in advance on without any kind of repercussion to do any kind of pre-planning for burial. So if somebody's spending down on their funds, that's actually a really great way to plan also and set that up so your family doesn't have to.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The whole reason we do what we do is to save families that burden of having to make those decisions at sometimes the worst time of their life. so that they can spend that time a lot more productively, just being with family members and supporting each other, and mourning the loss of their loved one rather than having to deal with decision making and coming up with money and financial matters, because that's the last thing that should be on their mind.
For sure. I've had occasions too when somebody passes away and the family feels pretty strongly that there was some pre-planning done. And so I've literally called all the local mortuaries or all the local funeral locations, and I have been able to spot someone. Have you had that kind of thing happen where somebody's trying to find the location of their pre-planning for their loved one?
Not personally, but yeah, I know that would be an issue and a question. We usually provide a little something, a little card that they can keep in their wallet or put on their refrigerator, or just keep in a file with their paperwork. And like you said, with gift, your only responsibility after that point is to inform your other family members where you have pre-planned. And then when the time comes, all they have to do is call Forest Lawn and tell them, so-and-so passed away and where they are. And Forest Lawn takes care of everything from that point on.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. How do people get a hold of you, Tony?
So they can call me directly on my cell phone. I respond very well to calls, texts, and email at
Great.
tcarricosa@forestlawn.com.
That's great. Yeah, we have your phone number here too, 323-252-9664. So please get a hold of Tony if there's some additional questions or information you need, or you need to do any kind of cleaning services. That would be great. And know that you're in good hands. Tony, thanks so much. I don't know if you're able to stay on to the very end with us, but we want to make sure that you have a fantastic weekend.
Sure. Thank you very much. You do the same.
All right. Thanks so much. We'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you, Mary.
Yeah.
Enjoy. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. And I think what we'll do next is we have a little birthday. We have a birthday. We haven't had one for a few weeks, so we're going to have a little birthday today. We have a little birthday. Angelina Bernhamer is having a birthday. She's 100 years old. I'm trying to find her picture because she's much prettier than I am, much more important. And so I want to feature her a little bit here. She's from Hartford, Connecticut, and she is 100 years old. And she's born, yes, well, let's see, no, it's, oh yes, the 7th. So she was born today in 1923 in Heartland, and she raised 8 children with her husband there. And she has according to her daughter, Luann, Angeline enjoys needlework, jigsaw puzzles, and rooting for her favorite team, the Brewers. So happy birthday, Angelina and Angeline, and we hope that you have many, many more. Let's go ahead and we're going to talk with Melinda. So hold on here. We're going to bring in her intro. And there we go. Whoops. Hey, Melinda, how are you? Oops, you're still muted. You're unmuted now.
Yay! So it is going to start to get really hot next week.
Yes.
So I wanted to talk about protecting ourselves from the sun and excessive heat to prevent sunburn and heat stroke. So the first thing we need to do is wear sun protection when the temperatures start to climb. I think it's starting to get really go into the 90s by Monday, and then all week is going to be pretty hot. So shielding your skin from the sun, wearing sunscreen, protective clothing, protecting your eyes, wearing sunscreen or using sunglasses, and making sure that there's, protection from the sun's rays. They actually make special clothing. So if you're
Yes.
very sensitive to sun exposure, if you're fair like I am, or you're taking medications that put you at risk for sunburn with sun exposure, there's protective clothing that you can purchase that's very lightweight, that has like certain UPF factors to it,
Yes.
and they make hats, shirts, jackets, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
We want to seek shade and avoid this, avoid being in the direct sunlight between the hours of 10 and 4, which is when the sun is out and at its strongest. So that'll, avoiding that direct sunlight during that high hot time would be great. So if you're getting your exercise outside, making sure that you're getting up early to do it, or
Really
waiting until
early.
the sun starts to descend to go out for that evening stroll. It's the best times to exercise would be early in the morning, or at dusk when the sun starts to go down.
Nice.
And then staying hydrated. So all the ways that we can stay hydrated, that helps cool us off from inside of our body, and then as well. So like a cold beverage, drinking a cold glass of water with ice will help cool the body, but also keep us hydrated. So if we're um, sweating excessively, being able to replace that water ASAP is great. Once we reach a level of dehydration, sometimes it can be really hard to hydrate. So, kind of being ahead of that is the best the best way to do it. You don't want to ever feel thirsty. So,
Right. Oh, that's true. When you
Mhm.
feel thirsty, you know you're dehydrated.
Yeah. So you want to make sure that you're drinking water throughout the day when it's hot like this, but also avoiding caffeinated beverages and alcoholic beverages that'll contribute to dehydration. Excessive salt intake, we want to avoid, so that
Mhm.
that contributes to dehydration. And then just making sure that you're taking breaks in cool areas. If you do have to be outside, that you're, taking a break in some air conditioning every once in a while, sitting in the shade as much as you can, that you have clothes that have proper ventilation so you don't overheat. And then there's other things that we can do. There's like little personal fans. Misting yourself with water will cool
Yeah.
your temperature down. And then there's even like little scarves and things that people have that you can fill with water that are designed to
Oh, yeah.
cool
Yeah.
the body
Yeah.
in times of heat. But it's really, really important to keep your body cool, keep your body hydrated, so you don't have the negative impacts of excessive heat, or being, exposed to excessive sun, which is very important here in Southern California. So,
Very important. Really great tips. Those are fantastic. I appreciate those. Yeah, let's bring Steve back. And I think we'll also talk about, let's see what our, Sarah, let's see, we have a little something,
Hello.
something
hi,
like,
Hello,
Steve.
Melinda.
I think
How
it's
are
something
you?
like Donald Duck's
Good. How you doing?
birthday.
I'm
It's
good.
Donald Duck's birthday.
Ooh.
I don't know how old he is, but it's his birthday today, apparently. And if you want the perk with these fun little silly things in history, and Tony Orlando and Dawn, a gold record, came out this day in 1975. But our perk pun, all the waterfowl kept their eyes closed except for one. He was a Peking duck. So,
Nice.
they're goofy, but at the same time, we've got some great information on there. It's fun. It's a great way to communicate with a loved one and have some fun with kids too. And there's a little word search. So search for words like Donald and duck and feathers.
Very cool.
So tell us, what kind of day in sports do we have?
So we're going to go back a little bit. The year was 1905.
Well,
The venue was Wimbledon, the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club. And I'm not entirely sure on this day, but it's close enough. I wanted to bring this to talk about this. But on this day, Mary Godfrey Sutton won Wimbledon. She was the women's champion. She was
wow.
the first overseas winner of Wimbledon. and she also won a championship again in 1907. And back in the day, unlike today where everybody starts off in the first round and works their way to the end, back then they had a challenge round, and then whoever won a challenge round won the winner from the year prior.
Huh.
So Mary Sutton went through the challenge round and she beat the winner from the previous year, became Wimbledon champion. If you are in Pasadena and you think that name sounds familiar, Mary Sutton was also the 1908 Rose Parade Queen.
Oh, she was a beauty and an athlete.
She presided over the parade after winning Wimbledon. She also won the US Open in 1904. So she was a 3-time
Yes.
Grand Slam winner and then became Rose Queen in 1908 for the 1908 parade.
Wow, how neat. What great information. I'm going to bring Tony back in too.
I will say that I'm not entirely sure on a date. So all I can find out was that the tournament started June 26th and it ended on July 8th. And typically the men's final is the last day of the event and the women's final is the day prior. So I'm thinking it's today, but it's close enough.
Oh, it's very close. Yeah, that's really interesting and great, like little local fact too. Pasadena.
Absolutely. Yeah. Part of like tournament trivia that I came across. I always love to share.
That's really nice. Well, any big plans for the weekend? We had our 4th of July in the middle of the week, which was kind of unusual, but I hope it looks like everybody was safe and all here today. So
My friend's band's playing tomorrow night in Pomona. So I'm going to go check out that.
is that shag party?
That would be the shag party.
Nice. That sounds great. Good. Anyone else?
Anyone else?
Yeah, still recovering from the big weekend last week.
Yeah.
There's a free 80s concert in Pershing Square tomorrow.
Oh,
If
fun.
anybody's
Saturday
interested.
day. Oh, that's fun too. That's great. Well, everyone have a fantastic weekend. Stay cool and stay safe.
Stay hydrated.
We'll see you next week.
Great. Thank you very
Bye,
much.
everyone.
Bye.